Let's see here. There we go. What's up, everyone? It is Sunday. Not my usual live stream day, but I'm pumped today. I'm extra pumped today because I've been trying to figure out what I love about music, and I've come to some conclusions that we'll talk about here when I'm going to do kind of a little breakdown. I'm going to do a breakdown of a song that I love, and about how what it is about it that I love, and how I am and I just sounds. Well, I'll play it for you here. Well, I'm gonna play it for you in a second. But it's I've been driving my kids nuts listening to this over and over, and they say to me, "How many times are we going to listen to this?" I said, "What are you talking about? I'm just going to keep playing it over and over. I don't care how many times you guys listen to this." A couple things. I had a video the other day that I was where I played my old punk rock band, the Monroes. I found my tape I've been looking for forever. Oh my God, been looking for it forever. Can't believe I found it. I'm so pumped. And I talked to all the guys from my high school band in the last couple days, and that was really fun connecting with them. One of them, Dave Tiberio, who played drums, he plays bass in my brother John's band. I talk to Dave all the time. But the other guys, it's just great connecting with friends from 40 some odd years ago. A couple other things. If you didn't see me in Justin Hawkins, I was on Justin's channel this past week. That was fun. He did an interview of me, and that's cool. If you don't know Justin, you should definitely check him out. Justin was in The Darkness and is in The Darkness. He's an incredible singer and guitar player who I've been a fan of for years, and he has a YouTube channel that he interviewed me for. I'm continuing my New Year's resolution bundle. My 4 courses through the end of the month, I decided. A lot of the stuff we're going to talk about today, everything we're going to talk about today is in there. And I'm going to talk about some specific theory things, actually some basic concepts, but I think it's absolutely fascinating. And I have one of the things I'm talking about, I have a whole chapter devoted to. Aaron, remind me of that. And my New Year's bundle is for $119. It's my 4 courses, my Beato Book Interactive, my Beato Ear Training, my Beginner Guitar course, and my Quick Lessons Pro course, which is more like an intermediate to advanced guitar course. But really, if you just buy it for the music theory and the ear training, it's completely worth it, and you get those other 2 things with it. The ear training and music theory are so intertwined, and I'm going to show you why. I'm going to play this song for you and talk about, I'm not going to play the whole song, I'm just going to talk about why I love this song and what I love about it. I love let me just play the beginning. Okay, wait, I don't know why my loopback's not working right. Hold on, let me get this because I want you to be able to hear this properly. Okay. Let's see if this works here. Hold on. I think that I need to go this way here. Go properties. Let me try. Aaron and I just went through this and it worked. And not working now. Weird. You can hear it through the one more time here. Okay, here we go.
been thinking about magic, happen, action, baby, we never lasted. Magic,
This is Robert Glasper and her.
But it was better than I imagined. Drastic acting to you, it was just practice. Sadness, masking, hated you with a passion. Had it, granted, baby, I didn't cap it. Cause it was better than I imagined. Thought it'd be worse, cause it hurts me. But still, I can't see myself with no one else. Cause it was better than I imagined. Better than I imagined.
Okay, to me that is absolutely beautiful. The harmonic progression. If I were to play it on guitar, I'd need a capo. I don't need a capo, but but on keyboards, I'm talking about the theory of this. So it starts out, and then it goes to here. Then the last time, then it goes to here to E minor 9/11, which is beautiful. Now, it's just 5 chords, okay? But this first chord here is B flat minor 11, and then it goes to really E flat add 9 over G to and G flat major 7 back to E flat add 9 over G. It's beautiful. Then do. Now that is hold on one second here. There we go. That was good. That is absolutely beautiful to me. Now, what's interesting about it is that the second chord, how it jumps out. Listen. Yeah, that first inversion major chord. Okay, so like I said, I have an entire chapter devoted to this in my book, and I'm going to bring up the old PDF here. Okay, so the song starts out on B flat minor 11, then it goes to this is really E flat add 9 over G. Okay, so here's B flat minor 11. B flat minor 11 is really like A flat sus. You could say on guitar I play with A flat sus 4 over B flat, and then okay, where have you heard this chord before? Well, I'll tell you where you've heard it before. You heard it in Steely Dan all over the place. They call it the mu chord, M-U. It's kind of a weird name. I don't know why people started calling it that, but the mu, M-U chord. So that chord has been around in popular music for years and years, although Steely Dan was one of the few groups that used it. It's been used in jazz by jazz musicians because it's really a quartal chord. It's built in fourths. So you have this F, B flat, E flat. Beautiful sound. I actually call this chord F quartal or FQ over G. When I say FQ, that means the note that's stacked fourths. F, B flat, E flat, right? So this is a perfect fourth interval here, perfect fourth interval here, right? F, B flat, E flat. You'd find this stuff in McCoy Tyner. those fourth voicings like that. I love the sound of that. But like I said, Steely Dan used it all the time. All the stuff in Asia, a lot of the songs have that chord voicing, but you don't hear it in popular music anymore. And this is what I love about this. And somebody says this is neo soul. Neo soul is like, I don't even know what neo soul is. I mean, this is just a combination. This is pop music, right? Neo soul doesn't really mean anything to me, and there's nothing. This is really jazz, in a way. Listen again. And there, right, that voicing there of E minor, E flat minor 11, E flat minor 9. So if I go back to the progression, B flat minor 11, I'm sorry, we go to G flat major 7, back to E flat add 9. When I say E flat add 9 over G, if you take an E flat major chord, E flat, G, B flat, that's 1, 3, 5. The add 9 is the note F. Okay, that's the 9th. When you say add 9, but it could really be 1, 2, 9 and 2 are the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 5. So E flat, F, G, B flat. Okay. If I invert that, if I put the third in the bass, G, and then I put those other notes together, and they can really be in any order. E flat, F, B flat, or it could be G, F, B flat, E flat, right? Could be any of those orders. That's the voicing that I used right there, that chordal voicing, right? But it's all the notes of E flat add 9, just with the in first inversion, okay? Meaning the third is in the bass right there. The note G is in the bass. Beautiful, beautiful sound. Like I said, it's been used in pop music forever. Way back. Okay, and then the second time, let me finish this off. The second phrase, B flat minor 11, I'm going to call F chordal over G just for variety, G flat major 7, and then E flat minor 9 with the 11. Okay, that's basically the whole progression. The song's only 4 chords. So I was thinking about other songs that are in different styles that use that chord voicing. And I thought of this band, Ivy, that I played in way back in the day. Right before I moved to Atlanta, there was a band called Ivy. Adam Schlesinger was in the band, the late Adam Schlesinger. They had a song called Shallow. And I went back and I listened to it. And I the verse has that chord.
Shallow.
Check this out. So the verse starts out right there.
Oh yeah. Rise above again. Oh yeah. His numbers fading on her hand, and it's a day to remember.
That, like I said, it's everywhere, though. It's in a million songs. But they happen to be songs from 40 years ago. What I love about this is just a new, just kind of a different context for that, for the Steely Dan mu chord, right? I wonder if I just did something. I accidentally hit my streaming thing there. Did it do anything? Maybe not. Okay. Am I still here? I am here. You guys remember the band? Anybody remember the band Ivy? It came back. There we go. Glitched for a second. Yeah, so the band Ivy was, I played in for a really short period of time in 1994 for probably about 6 weeks or so. Somebody says the audio came in late. Was okay, she got okay. I'm out of sync. The audio is out of sync with the video now. Is it back in sync now? Totally in sync. Okay, there we go. Refresh. There we go. Okay, so this Robert Glasper tune. So then I started thinking about this. It's like, what key is this song even in? You know, when you start out with this chord progression. Okay, so if you take B flat minor, to me, the first thing I think, if I have B flat minor and E flat major, right? We're just pretend that the second chord is just an E flat major in first inversion, E flat add 9 in first inversion, and you can say, okay, that's a 2 chord and the 5 chord of in the key of A flat major, but we're not in A flat major because there is no A flat in the key here. So like, what do you do here? What do you call this thing? Well, you got to look at some of the other notes in there. The G flat major 7 chord, right? So what is that and how does that relate? So I would say this is in B flat minor, but this is really a modal. This is really a modal sound, okay? Because the E flat major, if you think about it, we have E flat major and we have E flat minor in the tune, okay? So what key is it in? Well, if I were to play a scale over this, if I were to take if I were to take the B flat minor 11 chord and play the scale over it, that's probably the scale that I would improvise with it. That would be B flat Dorian, and then go to this chord, right? Those two scales are in the same, from the same key. That's B flat Dorian to E flat Mixolydian. Okay, so B flat Dorian to E flat Mixolydian. Well, those are both from A flat major. Is the song in B flat Dorian? Well, this G flat major chord, the third chord of it, is not really in. So you got da 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 da. That note G flat is not part of E flat major, which is why that first inversion chord, sounds so good. And it sounds like it's a modulation. It sounds like it's a brief modulation, right? I think that because of that, it grabs your ear immediately. Okay, and you're hearing this thing going from this. Now that sounds like it can be from the same key, but when I go, so you get G flat in that chord, you have G natural in that chord, right? Right? Beautiful. And then it goes to the E flat minor chord, which also has the G flat in it. Okay, so really the only chord that's out of left field is the E flat add 9 chord. That to me is that's the one chord that grabs your ear and makes this, to me it makes this chord progression really beautiful. It's F chordal over G. It's the same chord. It's just how I'm spelling the voicing out. But you can do the voicing any way there. That's with that chordal. What you can do. You do E flat add sus2, B flat sus4, or F chordal. It's all the same notes, just they're different inversions. But that's the sound. And that, to me, I did it again. You got to just refresh again, guys. Sorry. I don't know why my stream keeps doing that. Just keep refreshing it. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about this here and why I think this is beautiful here. If those first two chords are if there's a key change there, it's not immediately recognizable. Okay, because like I said, those first two chords, B flat minor 11 and let's call it just E flat add 9. They're from the same scale. They're both from A flat major. If you're in A flat, this would be the 2 chord, this would be the 5 chord in A flat. Okay? Use all the same notes of the key, and until you add that 3rd chord, you don't actually notice that that anything is weird about it until the 3rd chord comes in. You're like, whoa, what was that? But I really think it's that 2nd chord that grabs your ear. So you got G flat major 7 back to E flat add 9. Okay, so these two chords, the relationship between these two chords are what grab your ear and make it sound really interesting. So when I hear this,
past it, I've been thinking about magic, happen, action, baby, we never lasted. Magic, madness, maybe you was just gassing, but it was better than I imagined. Drastic acting to you, it was just practice. Sadness, masking, hated you with a
love that beat.
Had it, granted, baby, I didn't cap it, cause it was better than I imagined. Thought it'd be worse, cause it hurts me, but still I can't see myself with no one else, cause it was better than I imagined. Better than I imagined. Trust me, love me, no, I could never make you stay true. Hate to say it, but it's too late.
That song's called Better Than I Imagined, and it's by Robert Glasper. But that is her singing the melody on it. And it's, to me, it just sounds fresh. It's really beautiful. And I wonder about this. It's like, why don't people use more interesting things like this? You know, hold on one second here. There we go. And then one other thing here. There we go. Much better. Now, these kind of sounds are probably not the first things that people gravitate towards, and that's one of the reasons that people don't use it in pop music. And I think that because these are very basic things, right? It's more about even the sound, the drum, this type of drum groove. This is really trip hop from the early 1990s. Portishead, bands like that used these type of grooves way back then. Massive Attack, all those the bands of that era. That Ivy tune that I played you is from 1994. These kind of grooves, these kind of like, I call it down tempo music. To me, it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And because of that, these really moody sounding voicings work perfectly. Steely Dan, though, did it in up-tempo tunes. Really, almost every single Steely Dan song on Asia has that type of chord voicing. The mu chord. I'm not sure where that came from, but if it's on the documentary on the making of the Asia record with Donald Fagen, he talks about that, about the mu chord. Basically, he uses it in the song Josie. And so he or no, it's this. And he talks about using the add 9 chord, that kind of how he came up with that. And it's fascinating. It's fascinating. I heard a lot of people that I listened to back in the 70s use those kind of voicings, though. Pat Metheny, Keith Jarrett, McCoy Tyner, in the 60s, McCoy Tyner, those kind of fourth voicings like that, they were just common in jazz all over the place. Robert Glasper is a jazz piano player. You know, he's, some people say neo-soul. Like I said, I don't even know what that means. It means just jazz chords over a R&B rhythm or something. I don't know. But this particular rhythm of this song is very much out of that trip hop thing that happened in the early 90s, I think, personally. But to be able to hear these things, this is really the important thing, is like, how do you even figure these things out? How do you find these chords? This is why I created my ear training course, is because songs like this are a lot, I wouldn't say a lot more difficult, but they're more difficult to figure out. Okay, because they have very specific collections of notes in them. Okay, and it's not just drilling the intervals. Okay, because the intervals between the chords. Let's say that we are going from the first chord to the second chord, that B flat minor 11. This is a theory and ear training thing I'm going to do here. So just focus on this when you hear it. Okay, so this first chord, B flat minor 11. To get this voicing, the right voicing on this, if I voiced it like an B flat minor 7 chord, it just doesn't give you the sound. The sound of it is that minor 11 sound, which is a more open or stark sound, and it's just something you need to recognize, right, by ear. But this is A flat sus 4. over B flat. Okay, and then the second voicing, that second voicing, if you didn't know what that was, that would be very hard to figure out because the spacing of it is so particular. When I hear it, because I've done ear training my whole life, I recognize that chord instantly. I recognize it as a chordal voicing like that, as that mu chord. I really, I hear it, and I know that because I have a vocabulary of recognized sounds. And one of the things that I did with the ear training course, by the way, my whole thing is on sale. All 4 of my courses are on sale for $119 through the rest of the month. And this is related to the ear training course and my Beato book, my Beato music theory book, because both these things are really interrelated, and you really should have both of them. Because the theory is in the Beato book, and then the ear training part involves theory too, because you have to develop that vocabulary of recognized sounds, okay? When I hear that sound, I immediately know, when I heard that Robert Glasper tune, I was like, oh, I love that Aeolian chord. I call it an Aeolian chord when I hear it, right? Because it's the Aeolian mode that works over it. If I were to start it on G, right? I think of G. It could be G or it could be a Phrygian too. But I recognize the sound of the, I recognize the sound of that chord instantly. So I don't even have to think about it. As soon as I hear this, and I was like, okay, that goes down a minor third, B flat down to G. So I recognize there's a minor 11 chord, and then it goes down a minor third to a chordal voicing, to to the mu chord. Okay, so right there, I don't even need to listen to it, and then I go, and then it's like, then I hear that, I was like, oh, the bass just moved down a half step. Okay? And when the bass moves down a half step like that, it's like, oh, it's just the same static chord. The static chord is, you just can recognize it instantly that it's a static chord. With the bass moving down a half step. And I think that's really the, once you can recognize that stuff, you can figure out songs so quickly. You listen for the interval relationship between the bass notes, from one bass note to the next. You see here, ba, da, da, ba, ba, and then da, okay, so I'm singing those notes, exactly the right notes, because I know what the interval relationship is. Whether I'm playing them, ba, 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 da, da, and the second time, ba, da, da, da. Okay, so I don't have perfect pitch. You don't need perfect pitch to do this. All you have to do is be able to recognize interval relationships. So I'm taking the bass line and I'm outlining the interval relationships of one bass note to the next. And then my ear can recognize what the chord quality is, okay? Whether it's a minor 11 chord, whether it's a first inversion major chord, add 9, whether it's a major 7 chord, whether it's a minor 9 chord, like the E flat minor 9. When I hear that chord, as soon as I hear that, I hear that on guitar, and I'm like, oh yeah. I just know that chord voicing instantly because it's a common chord that that I've played a million times. And that's how you this is how you get a good ear, is basically by recognizing relationships and quality of chords, relationships of the notes that you're hearing. So you really don't even have to be like, oh, is that, am I hearing this or that? Just eventually when you hear enough of these add 9 chords, you just know when it's a first inversion add 9 chord. You just know. So that's it. That's it. And that's the whole benefit of ear training. Now, for me, when I started out playing, I just learned this stuff right off the bat because there were no books, there was no YouTube, there was no nothing to teach you this, right? So I had to actually, and this is why I developed my ear, because I had to figure this stuff out on my own. And I'm a way better musician because of it. I just am. There's no there's no shortcut to that, to having a great ear. There is no shortcut. You just have to do the work. You got to put in the work. And music theory and ear training are the same thing, because when you hear something, you have to know what to call it, right? So whatever you want to call it, you can call this, oh, this is a G mu chord, or it's F chordal over G, or it's E flat major add 9 over G. Whatever you want to call it doesn't matter. You just have to be able to recognize it and then play it when you hear it. I was talking with Steve Lukather this week. How many of you saw my interview with Steve? And he was talking about, Luke was talking about touring with Larry Carlton. And Larry Carlton talked about, he talked with Steve about his approach to how he soloed. Those of you that don't know Larry Carlton, amazing, one of my all-time favorite guitar players, and same with Luke, one of his all-time favorite guitar players. And Larry talked about using the triads of what he's playing over. If the chord was, a chord like this, that's, which would be C major over F, and Steve would improvise. Let me take my capo off here. So if you have this C over F, Steve would use that C major triad, F major triad. You could use, and he taught Luke about the way he thinks of chords. And a lot of times we'll just take the upper structured triad and use that to improvise over. And that's really kind of what this is with this tune here, this Robert Glasper tune, is to understanding how, just basically how chord voicings work together, how they're structured, what the order of notes is and stuff. And this is just things that you can pick up by ear as you work. As you figure out songs, you begin to recognize them quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker, right? You learn what add 9 chords sound like. You learn what a major add 9 sounds like, what a minor add 9 sounds like, what a minor 11 chord sounds like, what a minor 9 chord sounds like, and then you just recognize these exact voicings. So if you can do that, and you can recognize the relationship between bass notes, you can figure out songs so quickly. Does that make sense? So I'm continuing my sale through the rest of the month. That's 8 more days. It's my New Year's resolution bundle, $100 and something. It's $119 for all 4 of my courses. You get my Beato Book Interactive. That's a 500-page music theory book that goes over the theories of these things. And I talk about these chordal voicings, the mu chord. I talk about that in the book. It has its own chapter on that. Has hundreds of audio examples, has video lectures, has video examples. And the ear training method has 80 lesson videos along with hundreds of interactive training modules that let you practice. And those are the things where it will play these different chord progressions and you'll begin to recognize them. It will play things that, it'll play a major chord and then maybe a major add 9. And can you tell the difference? Oh, this one is just a straight triad. This is a triad with an add 9. Things like that. Those things are really, that's how you develop your ability to recognize chord quality. Dominant 7 sharp 9, dominant 9 chord, minor 11, minor 9, all these specific things. Luke immediately can do that because his ear is so developed. When I did for those of you that watch the interview, I put that Lionel Richie tune on. Now, Steve played over that in 1983, Running with a Knife. I didn't even tell him what tune he was going to solo over, okay? I just played the backing track that I made, and he didn't say what key is it in. He didn't say anything. As soon as he heard it, he started playing. Now, he didn't play the solo he played on the thing. He just improvised a solo. But he improvised it because his ear knew exactly what was going on because he could recognize the chord relationships like instantly. And he actually kept playing on it. But I'll release some other things. I put out a short with a fuller length solo on it. But his ear, when I asked him about what he would play when he would play these rhythm parts, like on Michael Jackson records, or if he's playing with Michael McDonald, or if he's playing with Lionel Richie or Boz Scaggs, or whatever record he's playing on, he knew he could recognize the chord progression, what notes, and he'd come up with riffs that would work over multiple chords, right? Luke does not have perfect pitch. He's got great relative pitch. And we talked about that about Larry Carlton, too. Larry has relative pitch that is so good, it may as well be perfect pitch. And that's really what you want to do, is you want to develop your relative pitch to where it's as good as perfect pitch. Okay? So that's, there you go. Go to my website, rickbeato.com. You can get that. Check out that Robert Glasper tune with her singing. I think it's absolutely beautiful. These kind of voicings, though, are in, they're all over Steely Dan Asia. It's just in a different context here. This kind of like combining, neo soul, whatever that is, with these down-tempo grooves, which I love. That's my favorite kind of stuff. I just love these down-tempo grooves because you can just get into the vibe of the tune. It's so good. So good. Anyhow, okay, you guys are the best. Sorry about the stream there. I accidentally hit a button wrong in there, but you guys will get, they'll knit it back together here. See you guys.